Hey, Blind Man Bert here, talking to you from the Barley Hound, and we are set for a really important link-up broadcast address. Lots to go over. Today, I'm feeling very empowered because today is when Senator Bernie Sanders will be making a very important address at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time and Arizona time, called Our Revolution. Look for hashtag Our Revolution or do the Google search Our space Revolution space /BernieSanders.com. That's all one thing. /BernieSanders.com. What that'll do is that'll take you to the Bernie Sanders site, where all of the local places where there'll be Our Revolution addresses will be occurring. There's one occurring right here in Prescott, which I've linked to. If you look on the links page, it's local to Prescott, and I had thought I'd be able to broadcast from the office. And apologies for the fact that the video is reversed. There's nothing I can do with it until I can get home and flip it around. The stand that I'm using would not allow me to use the reverse camera unless I basically went on my knees and was looking up. It was very uncomfortable. So this will be fixed later. But at the office today, we basically will be having a meeting with at least 20 people expected to show up, maybe more. Big room. And I was going to live broadcast from there, but I just found out their uplink is only 0.73 megabits per second. It's got to be at least 2, and we've got 5 here. So the liveness of the uplink is not going to happen, but I will try to get that pumped out sometime overnight, like around 2 or 3 in the morning, if you can believe it. That's when that's going to happen. So Our Revolution is basically Bernie Sanders rallying his troops to decide what the next thing is going to be. And you know, my comment is, it's not about the presidential election anymore. I don't care who wins the presidential election. The revolution, it's not because I'm bitter, it's just because I'm realistic. Trump and Hillary both would be 4-year presidents, not ruining us. Trump would pick really bad Supreme Court nominees. That's a big thing. He would also try to rip up a lot of social laws. He would try and, probably at the behest of all his cohorts, he might go after same-sex marriage. He might do a whole lot of things we don't like. The good news is either of those candidates would probably only last 4 years. So that's number one. That's on the national level. There's more important stuff happening locally, I think. That's what was the subject. And I think that's going to be what Sanders is going to talk about how grassroots campaigning and activism starts locally. I was hoping a few people would arrive today, but I don't see them. I want to apologize for being 5 minutes late. We had a last-minute network glitch. The bar thought the network was down. I was like, no, the network's down. The network is up. It's my iPad I got to remove. So I was late trying to help them figure out their issues and reboot my thing. So here's the basic question of this article in a nutshell. I hope the Courier's listening. Here's the nutshell, the bottom line of this article, which I'm going to file overnight. Based on the provisions of this law, which I finally got printed out, U.S. Code 7908, Armed Forces Recruiter Access to Students and Student Recruiting Information. Based on the provisions of this law, which I'll talk about once again, now that I have it in front of me, the current school administration does, or says they do, include, I'll believe them, they say they include this form, which I'm going to show you in a second. It's somewhere in this huge stack of things I got printed out. Hold on, it's in here somewhere. Printed out too many copies. Yeah. Here is the school's official opt-out form policy. Section 9528 request opt-out form for secondary students, which has been already posted to the Internet Archive, the Link Channel's Internet Archive site. So this is the form. It doesn't really say why you would want to do this. It doesn't really give you any inclination of whether that could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's a form. It's among a stack of things given to students and parents as they are registering for the school, once, as far as I know. This particular copy of the form was a form that was in existence 3.5 years ago when activists met with the prior principal, Principal Totsi. Don't ask me to get her last name correct because I keep trying to remember it. Mac MC something. She retired 3.5 years ago, 3.5 years ago. And she met with the activists once who wanted to be allowed to get this form. going and handed out to students on a more regular basis. Here's basically the equivalent to the legal information that the school provides. And over here is a why you might want to do this thing. And it's not really like propaganda. Here's the group, Grandmothers for Peace. Let me read their 6 points. Recruiter access to schools and students. Recruiter promises. Contact numbers. Making enlistment decisions. 10 points to consider before signing a military enlistment agreement, and opt-out form. Oh, there may actually be a second page to this, or a reverse page. I may not have gotten the whole thing printed out. Yeah, there's a little bit more to this that basically says you may change your mind. You should never feel pressured. Controversial stuff like that, you know, basically informational things. Don't feel pressured to have to list your name with a recruiter. Under this law, George Bush's law, you can opt out. Personally, I don't think you should be opted in the first place. I've always resisted mandatory registrations. I think they're somewhat... The Fourth Amendment right to privacy is kind of important, especially for minors. You know, it's kind of like a Fourth Amendment privacy issue there, but I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to fix federal law. I'm going to fix local interpretation or deployment of federal law if I can. So the school thinks it's sufficient to provide this, and I want to do a little bit of online research to say how many parents know about this, how many parents remember signing this, how many parents remember seeing this. Would you mind if this other form was on campus? Take a little informal, non-scientific poll, see what Prescott Unified School District parents think. And then at the same time, they're allowing this group, which I respect the basic motives of the group, this religious group, Get Real Men's Expo, to come in once a year and do their thing. And honestly, I thought it was a very positive thing. The one negative thing, very conservative and very religious, so obviously I'm going to stand out. I had a different shirt, but I'm going to stand out wearing a hat like this. And I don't have any issues with what they're trying to do. I don't have any issue with the fact that they're a religious group. That's not the point. The point is that they go so far as to advertise paramilitary weapons, vehicles. I don't think that represents the community, and I don't think it's appropriate for the school, especially given the two recent incidents we've had with children and firearms. Well, one that was definitely in children with firearms, and the other in schools, and the other one which was alleged, but who knows what the details were. And those two incidents are, I said this in the last address, so I'm kind of repeating myself. Oh, there goes the wind. Yeah, I knew that was eventually going to happen. Keyboard to the rescue. Well, let me go in chronological order. No, let me not go in chronological order. Here you go. Here's the first, the thing that happened on Friday. If you go on to dcourier.com, you will find this article. 2 Bradshaw Mountain HS for high school students face gun charges. And if you go on there, you'll find that 2 high school students walked into their high school with 22 caliber weapons on their, I guess on their persons or maybe on their hips, unloaded, no ammunition. They were spotted by high school staff. The police were called in. The police arrested them. They faced, at the time of this writing, I don't know the disposition yet because I haven't been able to contact the Prescott Valley. This is in Prescott Valley, Arizona. It's about 7.5 miles from us at the Bradshaw Mountain High School. An incident which occurred on Friday, August 19th, which was last Friday. This was reported the morning of the Get Real Men's Expo, so the timing was very close. And here's the thing. Here's what they say. Both juveniles and handguns are currently in police custody and an investigation is ongoing. The students were both charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of weapons misconduct, as well as 2 felony counts of minor imposition of a firearm, and were booked into the Yavapai County Juvenile Detention Center after their parents were notified of the incident. So that's kind of serious. My hope is, it appears the article suggests that it was not, there was no violence intended, and a lot of people are kind of saying that the school and the police overreacted. No, excuse me. This is a matter of public safety. The school and the police did the right thing. An arrest does not necessarily lead to a court charge or any jail time. but the students were properly isolated. They broke a rule, a big one. And it's a little harsh, but it's also a serious offense. Had they come to school, what if they'd come with ammunition? What then? What do you do? That's just the difference of bullets in and out of the guns. What's the difference in severity? Walking in with the guns was enough of an offense. So I need to follow up. Oh, there's also been a follow-up article which I haven't yet linked to. There's a follow-up article to this on the Daily Courier where the high school principal or staff said they followed procedures correctly. And that's probably because all the backlash in this conservative town of people mouthing off saying, they should have never been reported. Yeah, bite me. The other thing was, there was an incident a year and a half ago now, on February 12th, a fifth grader allegedly threatened to use an AK-47 against her classmates at the Washington, the Washington Elementary School, which is here in Prescott, Arizona. So this occurred on February 12th. It was originally reported by the Daily Courier on February 21st. There's actually 3 articles related to this. One is similarly, Prescott Unified School District said the school did the right thing. Similar article to what just came out in the Courier. And also there was a follow-up article that I think suggested they were released. I'm actually, right now, in negotiation. Don't ask me why you have to negotiate with the police department to get public information, but you do. So on Monday, as a, well, here's the problem. Monday, I came down, oh, it's in a different part of my pack, hold on. Yeah, Monday I came down and I filed one of these bad boys out. This is a Prescott Police Department information request form. Criminal records check, public information requests, records requests. Key information is public information. Now if you walk in there and you say you are a person, you check this off and you get the information right away. You go in, you say for commercial purposes, you qualify what your commercial interest is. So you, like if you're from the Daily Courier, you check that off. They say, oh yeah, the Daily Courier, we know you. Here's the trap though. I was honest. I said, well, I'm not a commercial entity. They said, okay, so you're like press, you're a commercial entity. I said, I'm absolutely not a commercial entity. I patently would deny that under oath or anything. You couldn't put a gun to my head and said I was commercial. No, I'm about as non-commercial as you get. Not a non-profit, but a not-for-profit. We have a small staff, a small coalition. It's not a business relationship, it's not a legal relationship, it's a group of citizens. So I checked out for non-commercial purposes described below. If the records are to be used for commercial purposes, specifically state those purposes here. And you know what? I should have just said for non-commercial purposes, and just because this part says you'd only have to do this for commercial purposes, I should have just said for non-commercial purposes. But the city attorney is reviewing the legality of that. Maybe I shouldn't have put who I am down there, because if they don't like what social media suggests, they could say no. Well, guess what's coming next? I will refile this with that field left blank and say, you know what, I filled out the form correctly now that I think of it. Leave that blank, and if that doesn't go through, shoot, sign into iTunes Store. Hopefully that didn't. I hate these pop-ups. But basically, if I can't get the information, there's a federal Freedom of Information request coming if I can't get it within a week. So the other thing I have to do is similarly call the Prescott Valley Police Department, find out how over the phone I can get this information, or whether I have to email people, provide Xeroxes of my identity and that kind of thing. I have to do the same thing all over again there. And that's actually something I need to battle with the City Magistrate Court, because I discovered in trying to obtain an audio CD on another. Dennis DuVall is a frequent offender, being an activist, so he gets charges all the time. I think he can beat this rap from March 26th where he used a bullhorn at a rally. There's a technicality in the provision. Right now they're saying that he disrupted an event. Well, guess what? There's a technicality that says events are exempt from that if they've been sanctioned by the governmental jurisdiction, the governmental entity, the city, in other words. And Michael Adcock had gone to the police department before had requested, it said, is it okay we hold a political rally here? They said yes. Now, it's just a verbal thing. They said yes. As vague as the law is, I would argue that that qualifies as sanctioning or approval by the governmental entity. So the same police department that arrested him gave him approval, gave Michael Adcock, the event organizer, approval the day before, thus exempting them from the noise ordinance. So, boom, Perry Mason music, dun, 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 whatever the Perry Mason theme is, insert here. Dun, dun, dun. Isn't that interesting? Now, whether or not Dennis DuVall he's still filing his appeal. He has 60 days from last week, so about 5 weeks left, I believe, or no, 7 weeks left to file the appeal. Whether he and his crack legal team can get that argument in and proven, there is testimony that Michael Adcock said that on the stand. Incidentally, somewhere in the comments that I'll later fill out, there will be a link to the Internet Archive. We have 2 new archives. We have one that says Prescott protest at PHS : something about military in schools, something about, I can't remember what it is, but if you look for protest at PHS, that gets you to the whole prior incident I was talking about where Dennis DuVall protested that and was approached by police and not quite arrested, but it looked tense there for a while. Bill Wolf, the regular officer, looked like he really had a problem with. He's also the guy that looks at me like one point like I'm tired of getting filmed. So he stepped deliberately kind of in the way of the camera with his face away from me, so I couldn't really hear what he was saying. I didn't want to move to get back into the audio and, you know, frame it. I'd say, all right, fine, whatever. He doesn't want to be filmed. But the other guy, Mike Minsky, he was so super professional, super calm, super fair. Gave Dennis every warning, every chance to leave, you know, that kind of thing. That's the way it should be handled. Bill Wolf was a little bit more aggressive, badgering. That's his style. It's like good cop, bad cop almost. That's fine, but towards an activist and a free speech activist, it's just the price of doing business. You have to expect that. A lot of cops will try and intimidate you, and I've been on the receiving end of that. So, what else? Yeah, so it's been a good day. I don't think anyone is watching, which is fine, because the revolution is here, and it's going to be ramping up. Like it's right here right now. In a couple hours, with the Bernie Sanders address, it's going to be here. Next week, it's going to be here. It's going to be ramping up. And key is, oh yeah, that is one other document I want to tell you about. Key is getting activated, becoming activated. I haven't posted this document and this story yet either. I've been working so much on that high school story. There is a 2-page manifesto. It's called the Hess Manifesto. It has nothing to do with communism. It's all about a democratic manifesto for getting back on track. It was written by retired Yavapai County Judge Ralph M. Hess, I believe is his middle name. He retired some years ago. He's a very liberal judge. And it spells out what we have to do. And the basics are personal action. That means you can't just sit at home. You can't just like type change in. It's not going to happen that way. You have to pick your butt up, protest, as I've been doing, kind of expose little bits of bias and corruption at every turn, not let any small thing go. So all these document requests that I'm doing, and the fact that I might file Freedom of Information Act suits and then document that. Why is it so hard for me to get such information? That's bias. Courier can get it, I can't. You have to fight the machine. Stop the machine on every front. It's time-consuming. It's laborious. It seems like you're losing more than winning half the time. But if you keep doing it, and if you keep professional and calm, not get angered, not, respect the opposition, respect the people who disagree with you, but counter what they're talking about if they're talking outside the top of the side of their head. So yeah, number 3 is create a new world. Work with neighbors to determine ways to begin creating the democratic structures for governance that we would like to see in place. Okay, then he says when capitalism collapses and the existing... Well, that sounds a little bit communist, to tell you the truth, or at least socialist to the extreme. But I think what he means is the existing form of capitalism, which is corporate capitalism. I totally embrace neighborhood capitalism. Down the block, here's the supermarket that's not affiliated with any chain capitalism. But we don't have that. We have a corporate structure, corporate-dominated structure, corporated-dominated political parties. So that's what we have. So I was going to say any questions, but no one's listening. So that's about it. I have my keyboard here today, which is a rare thing, minus these 2 keys. There's a new key that popped off, the 7 key. So I'm going to have to get a new keyboard at some point. But yeah, so I'll be sitting here punching out various things for a while, and yeah, this is Blind Man Bert signing off. Next sign in will be very late at night when I'll be posting the video that I will have taken from the office and the Hour Revolution meeting occurring there. So I'll talk to you then. Oh, and you know, the link has been going great. We're actually looking for people who can help out. If you would like to be an admin, we have need for people in Prescott specifically, or the Prescott area, who can just keep a tab on events, both political events, social events, parades, protests, important meetings, governmental meetings, also very good outdoor events. We support the Courthouse Square. We make use of it for our Wednesday link-ups at times. We want to kind of put that back and support the scene, as it were. I do a lot of live video broadcasting of bands and such, not through the link, which is political, but through another thing called the Canamit Collective. But that's just out of my personal account. And we're also looking for people who can write. When we put out stories where we know we're going to get bashed left and right, we need people who can just keep people from getting nasty towards one another or putting in a good word or two. You can either do it as a user or you can do it at the admin level. We'll let you know. We're going to put out an article that's going to get a lot of angry people at us. We tend to find all these teabaggers will come in and kind of like try and argue with us and not really supply any points. And we're like straightforward. We say, well, if you can argue us on the points, we'll argue with you. We'll engage. But if you're just going to call us idiots and libtards, you know, I'll say, okay, maybe you're right. I don't know. How do you counter that? Yeah, so we're libtards. So what did we say that you don't like? Because I think we're pretty good debaters. So we need help. The staffing right now is I've got 4 admins, myself and 3 others. One guy, Dennis DuVall, does all the event listings, but he's not really a technically literate guy. Not all of them. I'm doing all of them right now because he's not very technically literate. We have 2 other guys that for various reasons have other things going on. And they're too busy. So they're both very smart, very capable, but they don't really write a lot. So we're looking for writers, among other things. So contact the link. Just message us on Facebook or write an email to thelinkaz@gmail.com. If you want to write for us, submit links to stuff you've written and we'll read them. And we'll make a decision and we'll maybe give you a test trial for a while if you want to come write for us. We want to expand our base. We are close to 400. We want to get to 500, then 1,000, and we want to grow, but not super fast, organically, slowly. My server just smiled at me, so it's time to sign off.
Oh, no.
No, I gotta smile back, so. Alright, take care. I have to press finish, apparently. Finish.